Hey everybody, hey collective, healing collective. If you have joined me today, you are prepared to do a healing session with me. That is what we're doing. Okay, I just turned my heater on because it's cold. This might trigger some things in you, some emotion. If it comes up, let it come up. Let it come up, feel it, acknowledge it, then let it go. Let it come through and let it go. My face hurts. I've been channeling this morning. I've just finished a reading. I thought I'd put up like a light reading before I got into this session. This session is really about, like, what we're doing is we're breaking conditioning. We are realizing that we have been conditioned. And Cat, what are you doing? And we're in this healing process of finding out who we truly are, who we are truly not, how we have become who we are, the patterns, the things that we have been through, that we have been molded into, mostly because of projections, because people have projected their insecurities, their pain, you know, because if we're not looking at our pain and our trauma and our, you know, doing our healing, we're projecting. That's the way it is. And a lot of people don't have the courage to go through the healing process and to change their life. And I feel for them. I really do. But it's a horse outside. It's walking through the wind, against the wind. At least it has a jacket on. So I'm gonna get into this now. I'm gonna start out by, this is my Banishing Bad Vibes spray that I have made recently. It has tea tree, rosemary, cinnamon, lemon, peppermint, what else did it have? A little bit of witch hazel, sage, it's got a bit of like a, just gonna spray a little bit of this. It smells really nice, but it is for just banishing any kind of bad energies, not bad but negative energies. Oh, it's on my finger and now it's on my face. And then I'm going to burn some sage, and we're just going to cleanse our space here that we're in. I'm going to just give this a whole new energy and make this a safe place for us. We will say a little bit of a prayer before we get into it. Just find your grounding, get yourself a nice cup of tea while I'm doing this if you like, make yourself comfortable, get warm, get a cozy blanket if you like. Okay, angels, spirit guides, ancestors, please come down and be with us while we go through this healing journey. Any messages that need to come up and come through, please allow them to come through me. Oh, I just saw try again. We're going to try. That's what we're doing. That's all we can do, right? Please support this collective who are watching this video today. Give them guidance, give them love, give them the resources that they need to get through this time in their life. Mostly send them lots and lots of love and comfort, okay? Amen. Thank you. Okay, let me read what I was channeling for you. I'm a writer, that's what I do. I write a lot. I scribe. you're called to write, write. Definitely just pick up a pen and just write it out. Sometimes it can really change your life. Like it can really shift you through. Okay, so I've got people who don't think they deserve love project that onto others with their blockages. So this meaning that there's a lot of people out there who do not feel worthy of things, and they will project that onto you. And we don't always see it. We don't always realize that's what it is that's coming at us at the time. And so just knowing how to, one, address it, but first, that's two, we're going to go two with addressing it. First, we need to recognize it, right? We recognize what people are projecting and where it's coming from. I'm really good at reading people. I have always been very good at reading people. I have this gift that I've always found is very interesting, that people will quite often, they don't want to, but they don't have a lot of control, and they will just actually tell me exactly what they don't want to tell me. Often in my life, people have said things to me that they have, you know, I can tell they don't want to tell anybody. It's the last thing they kind of want to tell me, you know, like they will literally just what's the word, out themselves. And if people have tried to lie to me, they've had to fight this gift, which by the time they've lied to me, which you can lie to me, but I read energy. I see people and I see life, I see things through a different lens to other people. So I can feel your lie, and I wonder, why? What are you scared of? Why, you know, so a lot of people keep things from me. They just will avoid me because of that. And I don't wonder why. I just give them space. And I respect that they are hiding something for whatever reason that has nothing to do with me. So these people, their mind is inflexible. And you need to recognize that they just project this lie they are living that is protecting them from actually looking at their truth, and they will project it and project it and project it and build like a foundation built on this idea that's protecting them from actually the raw truth, and from feeling emotion, and from having to look at their own choices, their own mistakes. So they have an unwillingness to change. They have so unwilling that they will create this whole world that isn't real and project it onto everyone to try and bring you into their vision, so they don't have to look at themselves and change. And so you're going to start reading people. I'm going to help you with that one. You're going to hear what they say, but you're going to read their body language. You're going to look into their eyes. And if they're really fucking convincing, you know they've said it over and over and over and over and over again. They have relayed it. They have practiced it. They have been stuck on this. Some people will say the same thing, the same angle, the same story for a long time, that they're so good at it that, you know, because it's practiced, it's acting, right? But you will see by their actions, by their life. Look at someone as a whole. And I don't mean judge them, just be observant. Just don't be stupid, you know. No, not stupid. Not saying you're stupid. I've said it a million times. Like, we learn to speak at like 3 years old. Anyone can talk. Anyone can talk the talk. Some people are really good at talking because they don't actually do anything. They just talk. They just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and they sit there and do fucking nothing in their lives. They don't change. They don't. When the things they're saying and what they're doing don't add up, that's a big sign that there's issues there, and you don't want that to have. You don't want to be influenced by that. So you just kind of step away, and you let them talk, and you watch. Being observant is very powerful. Just letting someone say what they say, but not being influenced by it, because deep in yourself and your intuition, your understanding, your directions come from inside you. They do not come from anybody else. They come from your heart. They come from spirit. They do not come from the mouths of other people. You just know when someone is speaking truth, and because it's personal too, and they're not going around projecting stuff onto you. Like, it makes you feel good when you're around someone who makes you feel good and not disassociated, because some people can disassociate you into a good feeling because they're manipulating you, right? It's like a drug. You feel high, and that's going to be a lesson for you. That's going to be a lesson for you to kick your addictions, because sometimes that can be an addiction, is manipulation. It doesn't have to be a substance. That is a substance. It's an energy. Energy is, everything's energy, right? So you can be addicted to a certain kind of energy. And maybe you haven't had a hit in a while, and someone comes in and they've got all these amazing things, and it makes you feel this, but it's very short-lived, and then they'll drop you, right? So what goes up must come down again. And then, that's what happens when they drop you. You get withdrawals, and you need more, and you need more, and you chase after it. And quite often, it's just a play. And so you need to just leave, like, as soon as you read it, you need to just leave these people to their dimension that they've created, and keep going and moving on your path that inside you is where you're meant to be going. Time is of the essence. As much as we have a whole lot of time, we don't really have time to waste anymore. These people just stay in this, they're just going to do that forever until they get tired. I've watched people do this. They stay in these cycles, and then one day they get old. They get old and they get tired, and they don't have the energy anymore to feed off people, to put so much effort into feeding themselves, to feeding their ego. They lose their looks, they lose their stability, their finances, and they just get old. Like, the preservatives wear off, and that's them done. So their perception belongs to them. Whatever their perception is, don't take it on. If they've got an opinion of you or your life or how life should be, respect that, and you don't even have to say anything to them. You don't have to turn around and say, that's your perception, that's cool, that's not how I see it. You don't have to argue with anyone, okay? We did enough of that as children. You don't have to argue, just observe. Smile and wave, boys, smile and wave. You don't have to agree or disagree. You can simply just observe and be like, but don't be afraid to hurt people's feelings by stepping away. Especially if they've hurt your feelings by being insensitive and projecting and feeling like they are higher above you because of their ego. Like, if you step away from someone, oh, there's the heron again. If you step away from someone because they're just making you feel yuck, or they're bringing up, they're triggering traumas and stuff in you all the time, constantly, you feel like something's not right, and, it's out of your control and stressing you out, just step away. Step away from it and carry on going, give it space. Giving people space is healthy. If they come chasing you and they're like screaming at you and whatever, sometimes you just got to ghost people because you can't argue with them, right? Because they always think they're right. So put up a wall if you need to. Protect yourself. Have boundaries. It'll die down. These narcissistic situations, they tend to go find someone after a while that they can trigger. You know, if you put up a wall and you protect yourself and they can't trigger you, they can't feed off your energy, they can no longer get through, they will move on. They will move on and find a new source. I don't mean to speak about people like they're vampires, but I just know too much about psychology and I see too many cycles, and it would be nice if we would all heal and be authentically ourselves, but the truth is that there's all sorts of different sides of the table, and the people that I'm speaking to, that I'm connecting to, are people who have the courage to stand out, to be different, to change their life, to rapidly transform, to leave toxic cycles, to choose themselves, to help collectively break the conditioning that we've all fallen victims to, you know, like the victim mindset. That took me a long time. It took me a good few years to even figure out I was in a victim cycle, in the victim mindset, but I was determined to figure out what that meant, and I did, and my life has incredibly changed since I have not let myself go back there into the victim mindset, because you cannot change, you cannot heal, you cannot evolve while you're a victim. You become a victim of yourself and you attract predators. Being a victim, you literally send out a Wi-Fi signal, 1717 on the clock. You literally will send out a signal to attract that sort of energy towards you, and it's never your fault because you're a victim. But that is the problem, is that you have become a victim, then you have become your own victim, and you will just keep, what you put out is what you get, right? And if you are feeling you're in this victim energy, you're going to stay that way, you're going to be a victim. So this is where we switch into pushing through that victim mindset and being a survivor. So you might have been through these situations and you've survived, you've pushed through, you've evolved, you've learnt your fucking lesson, and you have become a survivor. And eventually you will heal so much that you stop attracting these situations, or when these situations come in, you will see it for what it is and you will put up your boundaries. Your boundaries will get stronger and stronger and stronger, and you will not have to endure the trauma anymore. It will stop repeating as you evolve and you heal, and you start protecting yourself by not being the victim. So these people, they're emotionally stunted because they are not doing the healing work. They're not in touch with their emotions. They've shut them off. You can't make them feel. They have chosen not to feel. They have chosen to live strictly in their mind. So you cannot connect on an emotional level. They are emotionally unavailable. And that's just going to hurt you. A lot of us have grown up in these families that have been emotionally unavailable. And the first years of our lives as children are the most important. They set the bar. They mold us. The relationships that we make as children, that we have in our life, they literally set the tone for how we will make relationships, for what we see love, for what we see protection, until we get to a point where we can awaken and we can see the patterns and that, you know, and release that that's what we were given but that's not necessarily what we have to repeat. It's not necessarily, you know, and there's a lot of work in that, in totally unconditioning yourself and just shaking all that, you know, all the oppression off, the coercion, the control. I wrote here about control and karmic family trauma bonds. Okay, so if you've had a traumatic upbringing, you might find that that's all you've done is trauma bonded. Like, if you've had trauma and that's the only time that your parent has really given you affection or whatever, you can literally have trauma bonds with your family. And because that's all they've ever known as well, it can be repeated through history. Control, avoidance, and manipulation. And so seeing this, like, I have totally awakened more and more and more that my family growing up was very karmic, and that's how I learned how to behave the way I did, how to make bonds, how to love the way I did. I had to really step away from my family to grow and to uncondition myself from everything I had learned, everything I had been taught, and to stop it from reoccurring. Like, we have to step away from situations to be able to see clearly, because while you're in it, and it's just going to keep going around in circles. You're under the illusion. So stepping away, it gives you the chance to like really see things for how they are, see how they ended up that way. And in these moments, you've got to really see that it's, you know, you can't blame. Blaming will not help anybody. Just an understanding or an understanding that this is the situation, you know, in a psychological way, this happened because of this. And if you can do it, you know, you're going to feel hurt, right? You're going to feel betrayed. You're going to feel like this isn't right, this isn't fair. You're going to go through all these phases, and that needs to come up and be released. And then you need to come back to a place of grounding and realize that's just how it went. People are always just doing, just as, you know, you might feel failure, you might feel like you weren't good enough at times, you might feel like you could have done better, but the truth is you couldn't have. You did what you did, and if you tried hard, you did what you did with all you had, with all you knew, at exactly who you were at the time. That's who you were, that's what you had. You know now, you know more, you know better, and that is part of evolving and developing. As if we knew now what we knew then, it would have been different, but we didn't. We had to go through all of this to learn and to forgive and to release. And so when we step away and we separate ourselves from the things and the people that are hurting us, because usually they're hurting themselves. They are hurting themselves at the same time as hurting other people too, but it's sometimes all they know. Just like it was all we knew at the time, that we behaved in certain ways. So we must forgive them, we must forgive ourselves, but we must never put ourselves back in the same situation that hurt us. So when we step away from these situations and we separate ourselves, we detach. It allows space of reflection, of healing, of karma. If you are looking for justice, if you are hurting, you need to step away, okay? Because sometimes these people that are hurting and hurting and hurting, and they're stuck in the cycle of hurting you, they can't stop hurting you. They're in a cycle. But when you step away, that is when they will see. That is when they will see how they have treated you. They will see how they have treated others. They cannot see that while you are still allowing it. Because when you're in a situation that's hurting you, you are allowing, you are accepting it with the universe, the law of attraction. That's how it works. If you're in a situation and you are allowing someone to hurt you, even by fighting back, you could be constantly saying to your partner, saying to your family, saying to someone, trying to get through to them, saying, this hurts me, I can't accept this, you need to respect me, you need to stop doing this. They can't hear you, okay? You are then feeding it. It is only when you walk away and you choose your fucking self that it will change, okay? They will see. They will, there will be a silence. There will be an emptiness. And this will give them the space they need to reflect. And that reflection time is completely up to them. And if they see it and they feel however they feel, it will literally, karma will come in and they will be forced to feel how they made you feel. They will be forced to feel that silence. They will be forced to feel that empty space. They will miss that energy, and it will literally cause an effect, will cause them a dark night of the soul. They will be forced to recognize their fault. They will be forced to hear what you've been trying to say, what you've been trying to do, but that cannot happen while you are still there. You need to separate yourself and go through, look at what it is inside you that was allowing it. Why were you trying to force someone to love you? Why were you trying to force someone to hear you? When it doesn't work that way, we cannot force, we cannot control, or that's what they're doing. We must step away and release control and save ourselves, okay? Yeah, you've got to just leave them to hurt themselves and stop hurting yourself, trying to either help them or to stop them from hurting you. The only way to stop yourself from getting hurt is to walk away. How our relationships mold us in the patterns. So going back to our childhood, which does a lot of the molding into our adulthood, and a lot of people never kind of wake up and come out of it, but a lot of it is conditioning. I've got this whole chunk of this, it feels like a past life now, because I've separated, because I've left, because I've unconditioned myself. It feels like this massive past life that I have, that I'm now detached from, which is epic, because it's painful. For so long, being still attached to our past and still repeating, it takes quite a long time to be able to detach and to be able to change and uncondition ourselves from everything we've ever known, right? Your childhood is everything you know. The people around you influence you. They change you. They condition your mind, your soul, your everything. So I have a story, and it might relate to you. You might resonate with it. But this story came up to me because it's massive. It's massive, and I haven't really looked at it. Well, it's like I've got all these different parts. I've realized that this is all so connected in the conditioning, right? So when I was little, my favorite color was pink, and my sister's favorite color was blue. And every year, for some reason, my mum would buy my sister pink things, and would buy me blue things for Christmas. And my sister was a tomboy. I don't know if she still is, we don't speak, but our family's very detached, got issues, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one healing. I'm definitely, I've always been the only spiritual one who's I'm very different, very, very different. I was very different from day one. So it really upset me as a child, because I was like, why can't she pay attention? You know, like, why is this so difficult? I like pink and she likes blue. Like, mum had a lot of other stuff going on. I don't know. And you can't ask her because she's not fucking there. I still don't really understand why she did that. But there's so many things around this space. Like, I was a really girly girl. I liked pink, I liked skirts, which I've come back to now. But I wasn't actually allowed to be this way. I got squashed constantly for being feminine, for being a little girl, because it made people around me insecure. Like, I liked skirts, I liked, and I didn't see anything wrong with it. You know, I liked pleated skirts and pink skirts and cute little tops. And my nana, when I go there, if she didn't like something, she would disappear it behind the hot water cylinder. And in my mind, because I just believed anything my nana said, the fucking room behind there must have been a whole room behind the hot water cylinder, because it ate a lot of my clothes. Like, I don't even know what my mum brought me to wear. I don't remember having a lot of clothes. I remember my sister had a lot of clothes. She had skirts. She had all the things that I wanted. And yet she was a tomboy. This is just a typical example of being conditioned, right? My sister was a real tomboy. I was a real girly girl. Yet they were trying to kind of turn her into a girly girl, and they wanted me to be like a tomboy because of my feminine side. My feminine side, I've always, since I was, I guess, very young, I have attracted men. And I guess, you know, girls who haven't had their dad around, who have quote unquote daddy issues, they haven't had that attention, have like this Wi-Fi signal that they kind of put out, and they attract a certain type of men. So this main part in my story was that I fought really hard, and at times I gave up on my femininity and just wanting to be a little girl, and not understanding why I was punished for it, why I wasn't allowed, why, you know, like why I didn't, and there was a lot of things I didn't understand, and that now I can understand. And it really molded me into who I became, and a lot of my problems and a lot of my bad choices I made in life, you know, all because of these very like minor stupid things. But when I was a teenager, I was really pushing it, just trying to, you know, I wasn't trying to get any sort of attention. I was just very expressive, like, and like I remember even like these long hippie skirts, and my mum just had the biggest fucking problem with me. Just, she's, from day one, she just has had the biggest problem with me. And I always took it personally. I always thought, why doesn't she love me? Why doesn't she accept me? Why does my mother hate me? Why can I never do anything right? And then, you know, I was the bad kid. I was always, you know, and had no idea that it had nothing to do with me, and that I triggered things in her that she didn't want to look at. So when I was like 14, I was wearing these skirts, and my mum made this joke, and it came up, it's been coming up for me the last few days. I don't know why, but it obviously needs to come out. And she made this joke, and this joke was like mocking me, pulling up my skirt and being like 50 cents, 50 cents, making a joke about me standing on the road, like showing my legs sort of thing, insinuating, you know, like, and I was a teenager. And because I was wearing these skirts and because I was feminine and because it triggered something in her. Meanwhile, my mother was marrying for money to suit herself, and in these toxic relationships and stuff, and that were quite controlling in that. And there's a lot of these, like the behavior that come from my mother that had absolutely nothing to do with me, but I was very influenced by her behaviors, by her, you know, because she was my mother. She was raising me. But in saying that, like when I had children myself, it taught me so much, right? It was like a simulation I would go through with my children. And it triggered things in me, yes, of course. Our children trigger things. People every day, everywhere will trigger things in us that we need to heal. We are activators. And so there were things that I did that I repeated that she had done because that's what I had learnt and that's what I knew. Until the feeling it gave me took me back, and I would start reflecting with my children, like how did that make me feel? I would reflect on how that made me feel as a child of their age, and then I would be like, that didn't help me, that gave me this issue. And so I would look at it as like a reaction, action and a reaction. And how would I have reacted if I had had what I needed, if I had been supported, if I had had healthy reactions, healthy support? You know, I wanted to be that for my children. And that is exactly how we break cycles, is we be for them what we needed. And that's a way to look at it, to be able to, we can't, like it heals us. We can't go back to the past, we can't fix it, we can't change it. But as we move into every day, we can change what we do. We can, like, there's so much healing that we can do through our children that heals us as well, just by changing the narrative. So with my mum treating me the way that she did because she projected her stuff onto me, caused, and I always stuck around. I have separated myself more and more and more the last few years, and it took a lot because, like, to be fair, my brothers and my sister ran away. They're different. They don't care, care so much. I guess I'm not sure, I don't have an answer for that one, but I stuck around. I felt like I owed it. I felt like because the others left that I had to stick around because I am a mother, and I was like, imagine if all of your children just up and left you and didn't want to know you. And like, well, I've had times with my children where I guess I've been unbearable, especially when they were leaving and they were ready to go, and and I was like, don't leave me, and I found it pushed them away. And then I just let them, I learned how to just release them, let them do what they need to do, and then they can, they went through what they went through, I went through what I went through, and and it healed, it fixed us, but it was never, you know, when you try to hold on to something so much, it can be really damaging. But those projections, I walked down this path of being treated in such a way that I became how I was treated. And this happened to me in my relationships as well. Their projections, when you project your insecurities on someone, it can literally, your insecurities will manifest in this person, and they were just trying to love you. So be careful what you project onto other people. A lot of us lost our innocence because of these situations, and it wasn't our fault. Like, I lost my innocence. A lot of us, it was taken from us, and it wasn't, you know, necessarily our, you know, we didn't really have a choice. And when we wake up later on in life and realize this, one, it does hurt, yes. But two, we can heal it from here. We get the opportunity to heal it, okay? Some people just have to keep going through these patterns, and they never get to wake up and look at how that all happened, how that all played out, why that happened, why that happened, why that happened, what affected that. You know, no blame games, just an understanding of like a puzzle. It's like a psychological puzzle. That was their problem. They reacted this way because of that happened to them. They were projecting that. That allowed this to happen. That brought this in. This is what I do. This is my specialty, is profiling. Profiling people, profiling behaviors, profiling whole lives, cycles, so that we can release is mostly it. Yes, that happened. Understanding, like as a child, I always wanted to understand everything, and I was squashed and I was punished a lot for being intelligent, for being observant, for being different, for being spiritual, for being psychic, for being gifted. When, you know, I grew up in a generation of children to be seen and not heard, and they didn't even want us to be seen, really, because we were meant to be, I don't know, I've often wondered why. Like, why did they, like, they just didn't know, right? They knew what they knew, they repeated, they carried it on, they weren't capable of what we are. Like, we have evolved as a species, and we are now putting our children first, which is going to really change the world. There's a lot of information out there now about, you know, evolving and growing with your children, putting your children first, because you brought them here, okay? You brought life into this world, and it is up to you. And what you do, how you treat your children, what you project onto your children, is really going to, it is on you. It is on you. Like, I'm very careful with my children now. I'm very aware of any type of projection, because I've gone through it all and I've realized. And so I know if, like, you know, especially having teenage girls, 4 on the clock, especially having teenage daughters, a lot of the things they did trigger me. They triggered things that I went through that hurt me, and I didn't want them to get hurt. I didn't want them, you know, and that is possibly why my mother behaved the way she did, because she'd already been down that path, and she was trying to stop me from enduring what I had to endure. And in stopping me and the way she projected onto me, it forced me, it pushed me into doing it. It sent me that way. You know, I find, especially with teenagers, they're very rebellious. You tell them not to do something and you don't explain why, and they're going to go fucking do it. Because you are, you know, literally you're ingraining it. Like, because they are trying to develop and learn who they are, which cannot be done with control. Like, control is not natural for us humans. We are not meant to be controlled. We are meant to learn how to control ourselves. And that is what we should be teaching. Is teaching your children how to regulate their emotions. Teaching them how to choose what's right for them. Teaching them how to listen to their intuition. Teaching them how to keep themselves safe. Because you might not always be there. Okay, teaching them how to read people, teaching them mostly how to be safe, make the right choices. And you cannot teach them by punishment, by control, by negativity, because naturally they're going to want to go the other way, because they can feel what's right and what's wrong. And if your delivery is the most important, you can be giving really good information, really good knowledge, but if you're delivering it in a way that cannot be absorbed, like, delivery is really important. That's why in my videos and stuff I keep a very calm tone, so that it's neutral. If you want to take the information in, it's calming. You're on a certain frequency. Everything I say, it is still your choice. You know, I am hoping to awaken something in you and give you more knowledge, just teach you what I have learned, but it is, at the end of the day, it is up to you completely what you do with it. I am in no way trying to control anybody, because I'm fully, that's what I'm all about, is learning how to control yourself. Don't be influenced by people. Learn. Wisdom is, you know, knowledge is power, the ultimate power. It can save your life. It can change your life. But you need to use discernment. You need to use your own brain. You need to use your own heart. You need to guide yourself. You need to make your own choices. And just gather your information and make your story as a whole. Look back and reflect. And understand that the things that have happened to you necessarily had nothing to do with you. Unfortunately. But then you can just release and kind of let go of that, staying grounded, but just seeing that the way the world works and the way people work, when you start to understand it, and that we've based ourselves and molded ourselves on this idea of what we've been through, and what we've actually been through does not make us who we are. When you separate yourself from what you've been through, that's where you find out who you truly are. And you will not find that while you're still going around and round and round in circles with these things, with these people. It's really good to isolate. It's really good to make some big life choices and change and move on if you really want to move on. Someone's doing burnouts on my road. Outside my house. It's making the horses stir. It's not my fucking problem. Anyway. So, yeah. Perspective, changing your perspective, evolving your perspective on how things have played out, and realizing that that is the past, that you have the power in your hand to forgive, to understand, to see clearly, to let it go, to really detach and move on and leave everybody else to their ideas and their perspectives. to be illuminated, to be judged, because other people are not going to be at that level that you are. That acceptance, accepting it is what it is, and then releasing it, and then you will move forward. So you're gonna, this will mostly cause an effect, an ego death, but you will rise as a phoenix with this new found wisdom, with this new perception. It will clear out, because this stuff is going to be taking a lot of energy, right? The past takes up a lot of our energy. It takes up a lot of our memory space. It affects a lot of our decisions that we make in life and our path forward, the relationships that we choose, the things we're attracted to. And so it's a shedding, it's an understanding of different levels as you go through. But realizing that we are in the present moment right now, right here. It is up to us. We could keep living in the past. If we're attached to all of this stuff here that's already happened, especially when a lot of us, we didn't have a choice. We were in a dimension that other people were in control of. Like a lot of our childhood, we were children. We were children. We couldn't pack our shit and leave. I did. I tell you now, I was 3 years old. I packed my shit. Just pack your shit and go. Story of my life. I packed up my stuff at 3 years old. I'm leaving. I do not condone your behavior. This is not good enough for me. I signed up to come to this planet and to be loved by my parents, to have a loving mother and father, to have a safe life, to be able to be who I am and be accepted for it and loved unconditionally. And this is not fucking it. I was literally 3 years old and jumped out the window. I ran away heaps of times. That was my coping. I disassociated, I isolated, I argued, I refused to accept their behavior. I refused to accept that this was an okay way of living. I refused to accept abuse because I was fucking right, okay? I was right. It was not acceptable. And I'm glad, really, in a way. Like, it was exhausting and it probably caused a lot of, but I just knew. And I think that helped me in breaking all these cycles. That I never once was able to be conditioned. I was very fiery and very headstrong, and I still am, and I'm awake, right? I've seen 5335 mirroring. Sometimes, it is what it is, it was what it was, and you get, it is a gift, it is an absolute gift to be in a space of, from here on, the choices I make for my life and myself are mine, okay? There's a whole world out there. There's so many different choices of lives you can live, of loves you can have, of, there's, which can be freaking so much. Sometimes I get in a whirl because I've got so much freedom. I went from being in this little cage, and then someone opened the cage, and that can be freaking, that can take a long time to just settle yourself. But it is up to us. If you can release your past and release, really look at it in a way of that none of that stuff really had anything to do with you in the first place, and release that and leave people to their own problems and forgive them and walk, you know, walk through a new door. It will heal, it will fade away, it will, you know, and it becomes like a past life, right? Otherwise, you keep going round and round in circles, and you will go round in a spiral for a while until you get to that point. Healing is a massive journey, and things will come up all the time. They will come up, they'll remind you, they'll, you know, and you will, and it's so you are enlightened, so you get to see it from a different perspective, and you get to appreciate that. But if you have made it through all these things, and you have survived, and you are now an adult, and you have fought for your freedom, and you have gained your freedom, praise yourself. And don't stay in your past energy. Don't let that stuff keep being an active part of your life. Let it die. Have a burial. I've done that. Used to be one way I'd deal with things that were dead. Like, if it's dead and it's done, bury it. Put some roses on it, you know. Literally, go and dig a hole. Energetically put it in the hole, bury it. Not in like a murderous kind of way, but like honoring it. Honor what you've been through. Honor who you've known. Honor people for being who they are, and, you know, knowing what they knew, and honor yourself for being more, for having the courage to keep going no matter what, and to change the narrative, change for your children, to give them freedom, to set them free, and to set yourself free when you've been surrounded by people who are not free. And it triggers them when you're free. Trapped people are triggered by people who are free, because it takes courage to be free. It's not easy, that's for sure. You have to fight a lot of people. You've got to fight yourself. You've got to fight everything. But then you get free, and then you've got to ground yourself. Because there are too many things, right? Once you're free, you're like, what do I do now? There's too many opportunities. There's too many options, right? That can be really ungrounding. So make sure you're grounded. And baby steps, one day at a time. I told you this was going to be deep. It's deep. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reground, bring us back to the present. Something that I do that I find really, really helpful is when you're in this big space of where do I go forward? What do I want to do with my life? Because you get the choice, right? You've got the opportunity to plan your own life from here on out. What do you want to do, right? What do you deep in your soul want to do? If nobody's there to judge you, if, you know, what do you truly want to do? And you're going to get a pen, and you're going to get paper, and you're going to write it down. You're going to write down, and that is going to manifest. Words are spells. Write down what it is, simply, that you want to do with your life, and then work towards it. Write a plan, and choose yourself. Okay, if it gets a little bit too much and you get overstimulated, then you just, painting really helps, gardening, go for a walk, nature. Don't think too much. It's good to do healing and manifesting in sessions. Like, when I say this is a session, we've done an hour now of really opening our minds and being in this space. And so after this video, you're probably going to have things come in and you're going to be thinking about them, and it's going to, so maybe a bath, find yourself a space of meditation, even, you know, sitting down, closing your eyes, listening to some frequency. It might just kind of overstimulate you, but knowing when to end the therapy session, okay, and to kind of step out and step back, like reassociate back into life. Like, you can let it process in the background by, you know, going and doing what you need to do. If you are feeling a little bit lost and you've got all this stuff going inside your head, write it down. Write down what you need to do. Look around the house, look around, you know, what day it is and stuff, and write yourself a little list to focus on, and let that stuff process in the background. Oh, I see like a red helicopter. And just baby steps. Put some music on, put some frequency on, and yeah. Therapy should be done in sessions, and you've got to have the control of having a protected space that you do it in, that you sit down, and then you, like a door, like a little room, and then you come back out and you step back into your normal, you know, your dimension of the world. I hope that makes sense. Because, yeah, it's gonna, lots of things is gonna start coming in and illuminating you, and you want to take them little bit by little bit. So if you're busy doing something therapeutic, they can process in the background, and that's just as good and not so overwhelming. 1155, we're gonna stop here. Your future is in your hands, and you owe it to yourself. You are worthy of every magical thing that you wanted as a child. The life you thought and you knew you deserved deep down is still possible. You can manifest it. So let go of what was in your own time. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. Give yourself lots of love. Love yourself more and more and more until you find, well, even, you know, it's for life. You love yourself every day, all day, every day. You give yourself love. Even if you manage to attract a whole bunch of people in your life who can love you like you do, and they're trustworthy and they're genuine, and you feel so much love, and you have your soul tribe, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. You keep loving yourself. Okay, you keep loving yourself. You don't stop ever. That you will attract people into your life, and it will change, and it is possible. Anything is possible with evolution. You've got this. If you would like to book a private healing session with me, or a reading, guidance, you need some help, I will put my email address in the bio, the description of this. I'm not sure how I'm going to describe this. But I will put that there, and just, yeah, give me an email and we will work it out from there. Don't be shy. My gosh, do you know what my brain just like, oh my gosh, like that your mother wasn't just popped into my head. No, she was not. I'm gonna end that on a joke about our mothers not being shy. Thanks for being here. I really hope I have helped at least trigger some activations in you to be able to release any resentment that you have for people, you know, who are just doing what they were capable of doing, and understanding that you are capable of so much more, and that is a gift, and that is something to be proud of, and that is something not everyone will understand. Okay, lots of love. Zoned. Lots of love. Take care, guys.